Hi everyone, my name is Michelle and I'm Mama Loves You GB here on FlossTube, but also over on Instagram and Etsy as well. Welcome to the Sunday morning briefing. It is, I'm going to have to check, the 28th of May today, first Sunday of half term, happy days. And I forgot to look and see what FlossTube it was, so we give and then we take away. How has everyone's week been? Yeah, I'm super happy to be on half term, let's just say that. And to our American friends, somebody asked me on one of the last couple of FlossTubes about how much longer we have left of school, and so because I think you guys are finishing for your big holiday pretty soon, whereas we go back at the beginning of June for another 7 weeks, I think. 6 or 7 weeks, and we start our holidays about the 20th of July and then we go all the way through in holiday time till the beginning of September. So I think our holidays are shifted compared to yours. So yeah, of course we're getting all the nice weather now, and by the time we get to the summer holidays it'll probably be rainy and miserable. Rainy and miserable. I can't get those two right today, that'll do. Rainy and miserable. I was trying to say dreary and rainy, but it came out as drainy. But that's quite a good word for it, I think. Anyway, enough of this fuffle. I've had a reasonable stitchy week. I've only worked on a couple of pieces, so I have taken the time to iron those. I've got a couple of other bits and bobs to show you. I had the most fantastic day today doing a stained glass workshop with the lovely Rachel Phillips, but I'm going to save that till the end just in case stained glass is not your bag. If it's not your bag, then maybe you should try. It's amazing. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you very much to everybody who has gone on and downloaded themselves a copy of Dear Alexander that I put on the Buy Me a Coffee. It is a freebie. Don't feel you have to buy me a coffee. If you want to go on there and just grab it, that's absolutely fine. That is absolutely fine. I can't tell. Okay, so don't worry if you think I'm going on there and I can see all these people who haven't bought me a coffee but have downloaded it. I can't tell. Or if I can, I haven't bothered to look. So that is what you get. The piece, and then obviously on the back you've got the chart, and there's another little picture at the bottom. There is a lady I've been trying to message back, actually, her name's Cindy, and she messaged me to say that when she cuts and pastes it into her browser it doesn't take her to the link. So in the information on Buy Me a Coffee I've put the link, but you need to cut and paste that. In one of the updates, in the most recent update, I think there is a proper clickable link. So Cindy, if you're watching, have a look at that and see if you can click on that link, because for some reason I can't reply to your message. Nothing happens when I put the cursor in the box. So fingers crossed you hear that and you can download it. If not, if it still doesn't work, drop me a message on Instagram and then I can send you the direct link via Instagram. So this is what I made with it. There we go. Oh, let's just take that bit of fluff off. So I made a little needle book, and that's what it looked like on the front. It's not lined up quite correctly anymore because it's been sat in my little tray. And I put a blue heart in the middle. A lady messaged me and sent me a picture of what she's stitched, and she's changed it for her husband and put their initials at the bottom, and it looked absolutely beautiful. So that's what it looked like on the inside, so somewhere to put your needles. So what I thought I'd do is, while I was upstairs getting those bits, because as you can see I'm not upstairs, I'm usually upstairs in my spare room, but Mum's in there at the moment, she's staying with us, and I thought she'd be wanting to go to bed. So I said to her, oh, don't worry, I'll do it downstairs in the kitchen tonight. I'm thinking she'd be tired, and she sat there drinking a pina colada. So she's not tired, it would seem. So what I did was I grabbed some of the other needle books that I've made over the years. I say over the years, I've only got about 4, but I thought you might like to see them. So this was probably the first one that I made. This is a Blackbird Designs chart. Simple words, Michelle. Blackbird Designs chart. And I've got a feeling it's stitched on hog's bristle. I don't know why, but I think it's stitched on hog's bristle. And I just made it into like a padded needle book and put in some nice felt in the middle and a little charm. 2020 was when I made that one. And I also made the little, let's get it the right way up, the little pin keep as well that goes with that. So both of those are from the same Blackbird Designs chart. Now I'll have to look up the book. It's one of the books that's quite hard to come by, unfortunately, but it may reappear. You never know with Blackbird. So I made those. I made this little needle roll, which is a Sambry Stitches design. Remind me of her name, Lizzie Paingross, that's it. And I just, on the back, stitched a bit of, it's a proper old-fashioned measuring tape. It's not as plasticized as, or wax as they are now, so it behaves more like fabric. And so I thought that by using the numbers, I could tuck my needles at the appropriate number and I would know what size they are. That's the plan anyway. But in reality, it mostly just stays rolled up on my little shelf. And then this was the other one. So I seem to be making a needle book at a rate of about one a year at the minute. This was the other one. So it closes, got some little tabs there, and you just push that one through that one, that one through that one, and it closes. So I'm going to have to see if I can remember the name of the designer of this one, because it's someone slightly unusual. It's quite hard to get hold of the chart as I remember. So I'll have to see if I can find the name of it. And then I just made it into, let's see if I can just fettle it a little bit. It's obviously not been lying straight. This is where I find all my sort of random needles. So a couple of bits of felt, some nice mother of pearl buttons, and then a nice bird on the back. So that's more of like a book style needle book. So yeah, I'm keeping up. 2020, 2021. I think I made that one last year and this one this year. So there we go. One a year seems to be plenty. So what else have I been stitching on this week? As I said, I've gone ahead and I've ironed them. I did a little bit on this one, which is the Brenda Gervais one. A lady asked me what colour the purple was. So it's a Silks for You, I know that much. That's not very helpful. It says Silks for You solo on it. So a few years ago I was in the Silks for You excuse me, club, and I used to get every month 10 silks, and some of them were missed dyes that didn't turn out to be quite the right colour. Sorry, I'm sat on a squeaky chair. And some of them were parts, sort of smaller skeins of their original silks that are part of their range. So unfortunately that one's a solo one, but it's kind of a sort of a purpley grey. So I've done a bit more on that one, ready for that chart to be sent off. I did a little bit more on Barbara Anna Miss Coffee. This one is a perfect fill-in, so that's the bit that we're on at the moment, filling in. I took it to karate, did a bit of filling in at karate, and I also took it to swimming. Now swimming is on a Friday, let's go swimming on a Friday, and basically she does all the swimming work, and all the parents can do is just kind of sit and watch. It's an hour. And Mum came with me, and I said to Mum, I said, oh, I'm so tired. Do you mind if I just stay in the car and have a sort of 20-minute nap, and then I'll come in? Well, Mum took Ness in. She was already changed, so she just had to literally jump in the pool. The next thing I know is Ness banging on the door of the car. I had been flat out asleep with the seat led right back, the dog's towel as a pillow, for a good hour and 20 minutes. I felt terrible, but I was so tired. I was so tired. So I must have looked like a complete hobo, just somebody asleep in the car in a car park. But there we go. That is, sometimes you've got to have a nap. You've just got to have a nap. The big thing that I've worked on this week is I've gone back to my year in the woods, and I've gone back to the spring trio, and the one that I've mainly been working on is the ferret, because the ferret is the one that I had least done on. Let me just try and fold it so that you can, ooh, blow out. There we go, that's a bit better. So the ferret was the one that I had least done on. So I've put in sort of all of these flowers. I've still got another stalk to come up here. I've filled in most of the ferret. Got a little bit of fill in to do there. And then there's quite a lot of these little yellow doodads around the place. So I'm hoping to get this one finished this week, because if I get this one finished, I will be a third of the way there. This is what the rest of this panel looks like. So I've got, oops, quite a bit of the raccoon done, quite a bit of the hair done. Let's just come over here. I can't see you now, but hopefully you can see that. So this is on 36 count fabric that I hand dyed myself to match the suggested Picture This Plus colours. And just in case you haven't seen it before or would like to see it again, the winter, let me just see if I can hold it up there. The winter is completely finished. So what I'm going to do is I do intend to frame them all together, but I'm going to mat each one individually, and I don't think I'm going to have a border or anything like that. I'm just going to mat each one individually and sort of stack them one on top of the other in the frame. That's the plan anyway, but no plan survives contact with the enemy, in this case the stitching. So we shall see what happens, but once I've finished the ferret, I will have 4 out of the 12 done. So that's a third, right? I've currently got a quarter finished, and then I'll have a third. So if I can get all of those finished over the summer, that would be amazing. But it does mean I've still got a lot to go, because the other months really are just not anything like. I've done a little bit of the bear. To quote my earlier phrase, I've done the arse end of the bear, and that is about it. But these things weren't, Rome wasn't built in a day, Michelle. Rome was not built in a day, and neither will this stitch be finished in a day. Oh, I've got a couple of freebies to share with you today, and a couple of chart purchases which kind of relate to the freebies. So Karen, a lady who texts me or messages me quite a bit with freebies and things like that, had let me know that Jardine Prive were doing a famous women stitch along, and there is, I think, 60 of them in total to come, one a week, and there's 10 of them which you can only get by purchasing a pattern. And then she gives you the sort of access to those 10. So you only need to purchase one pattern to get 10 extra ones. You don't have to do one pattern per extra one that you want. But the ones that have been released already, I will try and show you just by doing that. So this first one is Boudica. And the second one that's been released, And she gives you all the information about all of these women. Now, you're going to have to... I don't know this lady, I'm afraid. I'm afraid I do not. But that's another one. So those are two are part of the normal range of famous women. And then two bonus ones that have been released are Joan of Arc and Cleopatra. So I'm not going to show you those because they are bonus ones. You can see them if you go to find the famous women stitch along. And she gives you all the measurements if you want to stitch them all on one, if you want to stitch just a few of them, how much will you need. She gives you all those measurements and you can see all the women. You can't see all the charts, but you can see all the women that she's got charts coming for. So you can go through and work out how many you would be interested in stitching. I also think that they would look really nice on perforated paper as little hanging ornaments, but then that's quite often my response. Let's do it on perforated paper or let's make a drum. Those are the two things that I normally would say. So in order to get the freebies that are not part of the main set, so there's the 10 extra ones, I had seen these Quaker charts, the seasonal Quakers. Now I've loved watching Amanda, who's the Alba Stitcher, stitching her Quaker months, which I think is Needle Art by Wendy, off the top of my head. Now, I know that I cannot do one a month, but I do like these. And I'll try and show them in a row because it is suggested that you can stitch them. Now, this is going to require some kind of organisational fettling. Is it going to work? There we go, near enough. So you can stitch them individually or you can stitch them all in a row, and they've got it here. Are we going to focus? All in a row. Now these charts were like €6 each. So I think by the time I'd gone through and paid the, or done the conversion, I think all four of them cost me about £15. But I just love them all together. Excuse me. I love them all together. And it suggests DMCs for them, but I have got in mind some overdyes, I think, that I would like to do because, in fact, some of them are here. Jeff P. Smith occasionally does like a 6-pack of threads, of classic Colourworks threads. And so he had, or she, because it's a husband and wife team, had these autumnal colours. Now I was thinking, what was I thinking? Possibly, depending on what fabric, mossy for the spring, sassafras for the summer, and then fallen leaves for the autumn, and then potentially either a white or a sort of excuse me, tealy blue, something like that. But yeah, those are what I'm thinking. These are not small though. These are not small. They are 100 by 180. So they're pretty sizable. Excuse me, 2 seconds. Sorry about that. That little cough still hasn't gone. Where was I before I really interrupted myself? Yeah, they're not small. If you want to put them all together, you are looking at 415 by 180. So that is pretty much, I seem to remember thinking that even on 36 count that was just over a fat quarter in length. So I need to have a look and see what fabric I've got to put them all into one. And I think probably something reasonably plain, because these threads, go away, these threads are quite variegated. And I also found another stitch along on Jardine Prive. It's called The Way to Happiness. So if I hold it sort of back there, so that's the top part. So it says The Way to Happiness. Keep your heart free from hate and your mind from worry. So this is like a long band sampler. Live simply, expect little and give much. And scatter sunshine, forget self, think of others. And then the last part is a house and a bird and a little scene with a teapot and a teacup. But you could just stitch that last bit if you wanted to. That would make quite a cool little pillow. So there's 2 freebies there from Jardine Prive. Right, we're on to a little bit of haul. I've only got a little bit of haul. One is a stitch along that I'm going to be starting with Amanda, who is the Alba Stitcher. I remember, or you might remember last week, I showed you this, that she'd said she wanted to stitch, and I said that I loved it too. And did she want to do a stitch along? Perhaps starting in Christmas and July. So we're going to do that. So that's Crocetta Go-Go. If that's not how you say it, then apologies. But I just love that. Love, love, love. That is quite big as well. 215 by 315. And the called for fabric is Vintage Country Mocha. So beautiful. I love that. Love, love, love that. So that will be a start in July. I also want to get my Santas finished in July. You might remember I was stitching 4 big Santas. I finished 2 of them. I've got halfway through one, so I've got 1.5 still to do. The ones that are going to be finished in the windows. So I really need to get my backside into gear on those this year. And then 2 other little bits of haul. Again from Jeff P. Smith. I picked up this one. Every time I've gone to buy it from somewhere, it's been out of stock. So this goes with the series of pin keeps, early bird pin keeps. I've done one of them. I've done the Remember Me one with the roses on. And so I've been collecting the others. Brenda's been stitching them as well, so you might have seen them with Brenda. My fabric of the month from Crafty Kate came. And I get a 32 count for 8th. And it's this really lovely dark green. It's actually a little bit more kind of emeraldy green than it's showing. It's looking a bit grey there, but it's fabulous. Quite heavily mottled, but beautiful. There is a Teresa Kogut ornament that she did one month with like a bee skep on it, which I think would look really nice on there. So you never know. And then the other thing, this came up for sale. A really kind of tattered sampler. This is Eliza Westley, age 9. It's got no date on it, but I just loved the summer colours. Apologies, this is how it actually came to me, kind of all crumpledy up, and I haven't managed to sort of flatten it out yet, but I just really liked the summery colours. There's like a really sort of unusual purpley red in there, and I like the border with the little triangles on. It's just a series of various different alphabets, but it was the summery colours that that drew my attention, shall we say. I'm just looking to see whether we've got, no, we have got I's and J's on this one. There's a little bit of stitch loss in places, but nothing unsurmountable. But I just really like the colours in this one. So we'll just add that one to the pile. Right, if you don't want to hear about stained glass making today, then I will say cheerio to you and see you next week. But if you do want to hear, then oh my god, it was fabulous, absolutely fabulous. So Rachel is a renowned stained glass artist. I will link her stuff below. She's undertaken lots of commissions. She's got work up in Carnarvon Castle and all sorts of different places, and she does beautiful stained glass with kind of painted mixed media on there as well. And my partner Chris and my mum last year for my birthday bought me a voucher to spend the day with her. So she's taught for years and years in various different universities, and she is a friend of ours, so it was a case of I got to go to her home studio to work. And I'd taken a couple of sort of bits of reference material with me because I've never done stained glass before. I didn't even know what was possible. What could I do in a day? So one of the things I'd taken with me was a heron, not from the curtains, although that would have been an ideal heron to take. A heron. I had taken a reel, a cotton reel with image with some scissors in the top. And basically what we decided to do was like a collage panel, just with various different pieces of glass that I'd chosen and painted work. And she taught me how to sandblast. I got to do some sandblasting. She taught me how to cut the glass. And this is a woman right on my wavelength, okay? Because I'd cut the glass or use the tool to sort of mark the glass, and she would show me how to snap it. And she said, imagine you've just taken a bar of dairy milk out of the fridge. That's what you need to do. And I'm like, I am right there with you. You could not have given me a better analogy. It was exactly like that, exactly the pressure needed to snap a cold bar of dairy milk. And so I sort of got to ferret through all of her glass, and she's got some of the most amazing glass. And I have to say, I was really attracted to the glass that has some kind of texture to it. So a lot of the pieces I chose have a texture to them. And I kind of also let the shape of the glass guide me as well. I didn't want to make it very geometric. I wanted to make it a bit more kind of collagey, and so I let the shape of the glass guide me. And so I did a heron on the bottom, picked a piece of beautiful blue flash glass that had this one imperfection in it that I really liked, and we used the source image, and I drew out the heron on the glass, and then we put the Fablon back and front, recut it again, and then put it in the sandblaster. And she helped to give it like a graded sandblasting. And then we did the same with the red piece that had beautiful texture in it, and then did the cotton reel. And then she showed me how to paint on top of the glass, and I did a little bit of like with a Dremel multi-tool, sort of etching away the glass, which was fabulous. And then sort of put it all together. She is going to kiln fire the bits that we've painted and also then lead it for me. But I'll have basically sort of like a 12 by 12 or 10 by 10 piece of glass in a frame ready to hang up in the window in a day. And she taught me so many techniques and so many cool things that actually as I was driving home I was just like buzzing with all these ideas. And interestingly, some of the work that she's done, and I'll see if I can find some pictures of her work, it's based on crewel embroidery. So we had loads to talk about in terms of stitching and patterns and things that we find sort of repeating stitchy patterns. And I've got a real hankering to kind of go back and almost do a collage one based on Ackworth motifs, because I think you could do some fabulous work based on Ackworth motifs, and that would look amazing in glass. So I'll hopefully have put up, if not I'll put it up now, a picture of how mine looked when I left it. Obviously it's got to be fired and leaded. She's going to do that for me, and then yeah, I have this little piece all to myself that I made, and it's cool. I really loved it, really loved it. So it's definitely one of the best days I've had for a while. And I came home really tired from just using all that different kind of like creative energy. It was great, it was great. She lives in this tiny little village, and it's got a shop. And she said to me, oh, you can either bring lunch or you can have a little walk up the shop if you want to. So I thought, I'll walk up the shop. And it's one of those shops that they have everything. It's a really old-fashioned little shop. And one of those things is they have everything, and probably in 3 sizes. But it just from the outside just looks like a little TARDIS. And so I thought, oh, I'll go and get a sandwich or something. And so they didn't have really any sandwiches. So I'm like, well, what am I going to have for lunch? So I decided to go along the path of things I've never had before. So I picked up a couple of pork pies. I've had pork pies before, but I've never had those. I then found some chutney called chuckleberry chutney, and I was like, well, I've never had that before, but I'm sure it would go with a pork pie. I then found some crisps. I've never had those crisps before. I'm going to try those. And a lolly, which I ate on the way back to Rachel's house. All stuff from this kind of crazy cool little shop that I've never had before. So that was an adventure in itself as well. So from me, who's had a brilliant, brilliant day, hoping that you have a lovely day and a lovely week, and I'll catch you next week. Stay classy, Stitchers.